and I'm going crazy inside, but I'm containing my professionalism. And
Mm-hmm.
I said, okay, we'll get the documents over to you and this and that. And she's like, okay, Vanessa, thank you. You know, she's never met me before, but just over the phone, having conversation and explaining.
Welcome to the How podcast, where we talk about how others win. And of course, we already see and hear that you are winning global luxury travel. So let's get into it. Let's talk about what you do and how you doing it.
So thank you for having me. I appreciate that. So Global Luxury Travel is a brand that I started. I actually started called Florida Elite Travel, and I had sold this amazing deal for $100,000. And I thought, you know what? I want to be in a luxury space.
Okay.
So what I did was I rebranded myself, and I thought I need my name to say what it is that I do
Okay.
without really having to ask. And I sell luxury travel globally.
Globally.
So Global Luxury Travel was born.
Nice.
2014 I started, and something that actually sets me apart from my competitors is that I actually personally vet all of the destinations that I sell.
Okay.
So that's starting with hoteliers, transportation companies, to tour operators. Anything that I'm going to curate and customize for you, I've been there and I've done it.
Nice.
So it's not just something I'm making up.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Selling what you have already accomplished, what you already experienced. So that's amazing. So I want to talk about this six-figure sell. You say you sold a company, right? Let's talk about that. What?
So I was selling cruises at the time, and I had a client who called and wanted to do a world cruise. And so this was on a brand, Oceana is the brand, and I was really taken aback by it because I was like, oh my gosh, my first big sale. So I'm kind of giving her insight on what it looks like, what that itinerary entails, and things of that sort. And so when I went to call out what the pricing was, I'll never forget, it was $109,003 or something to that effect. And she says, you know what, no worries, I'll go ahead and wire that over to you.
Wow.
And I'm going crazy inside, but I'm containing my professionalism. And I said, okay, we'll get the documents over to you and this and that. And she's like, okay, Vanessa, thank you. You know, she's never met me before, but just over the phone, having conversation and explaining, because I have been abroad, grew up in Germany from 4 years old to 20. So I was very familiar with Europe and a lot of the places that she was interested in going. And so I was able to close that deal. And it was the first taste of that six-figure, deal that I was like, you know what, this is where I want to be. This is what I know. And so what I did is I started to travel the world. Over 250 days a year I'd spend traveling so that I could go and customize and curate and understand and meet the GMs, meet my drivers, meet the hoteliers, some private boutique, locations. So that way I could really truly build a relationship. So when I say you're going to be coming to stay at their property, I can speak to the GM and say, you know what, she really loves the color pink. So let's have something beautiful and pink in her room when she arrives.
Absolutely.
And
Like
so
you said, curating.
that's right.
The beauty of curation, right?
It is.
That's amazing. So did you always love to travel?
You know what? It was so innate in me that I didn't realize that I loved it because I grew up in Germany. So every weekend we went somewhere. If it was to Heidelberg or to Paris, or, at the time I didn't realize I was doing things that people dreamt of doing because I was a kid. I didn't know that. It wasn't until I moved to Florida, living in Tampa, and people thought, oh wow, I want to go to the beach for the weekend. And I thought, why is that not appealing to me? And I started thinking, you know why? Because I went to a different country for the weekend.
Right.
And it wasn't to sound better, it was just what I knew and what I was used to.
Sure.
And so I think that was just innate, love and travel and watching people feel the same thing I feel when I go to a destination.
Right. So in comparison to, I would say, international destinations versus domestic destination, what would you say the extreme difference would be?
Well, for me, because America doesn't have the length of history that other countries will have and provide you when you're going abroad. Imagine going to Asia, China, for instance, and seeing something that happened in the third dynasty, where America is only about 400 years old. So our history doesn't, really warrant that, just mind-blowing experience. You're walking on places where Christ once walked in Rome. To see something that was before Christ is almost unimaginable, but it exists. to go to Africa and see relics and fossils from millions of years ago. Those are things, unfortunately, you won't find in America just because it's not as old.
Sure.
So just traveling abroad internationally, you really get a different in-depth look into what travel can offer. It's amazing, mind-blowing.
Very nice. So what's your go-to destination?
Well, my go-to destination, and it's kind of for selfish reasons, is Australia because I love the men in Australia.
Really?
They're gorgeous. They're so polite. The accent. And a lot of them, believe it or not, have a lot of indigenous background from the Aboriginals.
Okay.
They look, Caucasian, but a lot of them are actually have ancestry of Aboriginal, which is really interesting. But I'm in love with Australia.
Have you found one here in Miami yet?
No.
Okay.
No. My mind is in Australia.
Yes.
Now, but I mean, it's my favorite go-to place. I've been several times, and that's kind
And
of.
the food is amazing.
The food is phenomenal. The first time I ever had Wagyu beef was in Australia. I was at a travel conference, and just for lunch they had Wagyu burgers. I was like, oh, okay,
Oh.
yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Kangaroo. I've eaten ants.
Really?
Yeah, emu.
Wow.
Yeah.
Do you have any children?
I do. I have a 28-year-old daughter who loves to travel as
I
well.
was going to ask. Okay.
She does. Her favorite go-to is Japan. She's heavily into the anime. So we did do a trip back in 2018 to Japan, her and I, my niece, and a really close friend of mine.
Okay.
She loved it.
Nice.
Loved it.
Wow. So what does your daughter do? Is she in the travel space at all?
She's actually in hospitality. She works for a hotel brand.
Nice.
She's into that, yeah. So, but her dream is to live abroad. She'd love to live in Japan, and I hope to be able to make that dream come through my company and leaving that legacy for her so that she can have that opportunity.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah.
So do you teach others to become travel agents and start their own business?
So funny to ask that question. Having been in the morning meetup, I was doing it, not realizing I was doing it. So I have a couple of mentees that I've been working with recently that have really catapulted their business. I've shown them how to quadruple their commissions with one sale.
Really?
Yeah, I have a mentee who last year she did about 80,000 for the year. She's done over 100,000 in 2 months just from some small, just a little bit of the sprinkle that I gave her. I had another mentee call me today. As a matter of fact, I'm helping her close the deal. She's going to make about 12K, an additional about 7,000 to 8,000 more than what she would have made doing it her way.
Nice.
And so I have put together the Global Luxury Travel Systems Playbook,
Nice.
where I'm going to be mentoring others to show them how to see travel from a business perspective, to be a business owner that happens to sell travel.
Sure.
So they become they transition from a travel agent to a travel advisor. So instead of facilitating, you're providing expertise and showing them how to do that.
Sure. And it's definitely a huge need for that. The expertise is amazing. It's like you said, because of your experiences, it's the small things that's huge.
It is.
Because it's huge to us because we love the experience, but it's small to you because you experience it. And it's like, oh no, you forgot this, but this is what you do.
Right.
And when we're traveling, we're just worrying about booking the basics.
Right.
I'll say the flight, the car, the hotel, right?
Right.
And that's it. But it's so many different layers to it. My mother, she's actually a travel agent as well.
Oh, wow.
And she's, got away from it some. Her husband just passed away.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Actually, today made a year.
Oh, wow.
So it'll be nice to see her get back to the business. She loves to travel. She loves the business. Oftentimes, she used to get frustrated. People call her, she'll do the work, and it's like, oh, they didn't book, they went somewhere else. So how do you deal with those instances?
So I had that instance that taught me how to change my business model.
Okay.
I had a client, she's a friend of mine, we worked out together for many years, and she called me to put something together for her. It was before I got into the full luxury space, and so I'd put in all the work, and so she kind of went behind me and kind of did her own footwork, and so she didn't book with me, and she called and said, yeah, I found it for $600 cheaper per person. I was like, really? Well, I do price match. I wish you would have given me the opportunity. fast forward probably about 30 minutes to an hour later, she texts me back and says, oh my gosh, I booked the wrong airport. Now we've got a 4-hour transfer just to get to our hotel. So I thought to myself, moving forward, I will not work for free anymore. So then I implemented a plan to go fee. And at that time I was charging about $150. Then I increased it to $250. Now I have what's called a plan and preparation agreement. And that starts at $500. And there's other portions, there's communication has to be had within a certain time frame. Decision has to be made without. If not, there's penalties or cancellations.
Sure.
I made all my trips fully non-refundable and non-transferable. So you've got to be really ready when you come to me to move forward with what you're looking to do. So that's how I was able to step away from being used in a sense and choosing who I work with.
Sure. And so for the travelers that's obviously fixed in their traveling, and your experience is definitely going to be a high-end experience, what would you tell the travelers in terms of the importance of working with you? Why would someone pay the $500 fee for starters? What would you tell them?
Most of the time, so what I do, I have a free consultation, and I kind of get a discovery call to understand and see what their travel vision is. And 9 times out of 10, I've been blessed that I've been to so many places that my level of expertise already ensues that fee. So when I tell them that fee, they're like, oh yeah, she knows it, and I don't have a problem paying it. And so that has been my biggest warrant, the fact that I've been to the places that they're dreaming of going.
Sure.
So they know she knows everything from restaurants to, just different little accoutrements that are going to make me have them stand out from anyone else that's been to Dubai. I just had a client come back. Most people probably spend about $3,000 or $4,000. They spent $11,000, but they did something that they saw no one else do: ballooning over the desert, sleeping in the desert like an Arabian, just little things like that set me apart from my competitor.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing. I want to back up, and you just said a word. I'm going to call it $1 million word. You say accoutrement.
Yes.
What does that mean?
It's a French word. The little small things, those little things you don't really think of that we cherish once we have them. And a lot of people don't realize what those entail, from a butler that's drawing your bath or folding your clothes or even having them pressed for you. Or some of my clients that want to lay out, having that butler go and put that towel down so you don't have to get up at 6 or 7. That's a little accoutrement that you can take and say, oh my gosh, this made this trip so much. There's some of my clients who just want to lay out.
Absolutely.
Or some that want to go to a specific restaurant. Having that butler service, make sure, and if you're staying at a preferred level, you're going to have first dibs at things like that. And those are those little things that also make it different. Or staying in a room that has certain pillow menus or fragrant menus. Someone like myself, very sensitive to fragrances, so having a specific fragrance works for me. Seagrass versus lilac or something, or lavender, those are the accoutrements that just feels like, wow.
Sure. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's a whole different traveling mindset. You're blowing my mind just with this conversation. You have me eager to work with you just to experience.
Oh, that'd be wonderful. I'd love to curate something for you.
Wow, I would love it. What would you say your ideal customer is? What's the demographics for that?
My ideal customer, so I've been working on my avatar and I know exactly now who they are.
Okay.
So I've told, people, I'm not for everyone, and that's fine, because of what I do, it's very different. My bottom line, my zero is 5K. That's my zero for starters. My client is that person who knows they want to go somewhere. They've heard or maybe experienced a little something about it or have done some research on it, but they don't have time to fulfill all of the elements that it entails.
Sure.
And they want it to be spectacular. They want to be able to see and feel like they've had an escape into a whole nother world, that they're not on vacation. That's their life. They're immersed in that destination now. From eating at the small cafe in Paris, or going to the Eiffel Tower, or walking down the street to a small bar that I've recommended, or a little hidden gem in Vietnam where you're riding on the back of a scooter, believe it or not, can be really cool. Or going to eat where Obama or Anthony Bourdain ate. Those little things like that, that's what this person is looking for. He wants to come back and be like, or she, like, wow, I had one of my clients just come back from Paris. They stayed at the finest hotel in all of Paris with the vision of the Eiffel Tower every morning on their terrace. When they got ready to leave, his wife said to me, "Can you hear me crying? Because I don't want to leave Paris." And those are the things that I bring, and that's the client that I'm looking at.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That is absolutely amazing. I'm looking forward to working with you. Wow.
I would love to get you on something so you could see exactly what that experience feels
I
like.
can imagine. So let's just say, would you be able to curate a unique experience in the States for, let's just say, a $5,000 budget?
To be honest with you, right now with what we're going through with COVID, it has changed a lot of what America is doing, which is unfortunate and fortunate to a certain degree, because pricing that you would pay to do something in America, you could get a bigger bang for your buck outside of America. Right now, the average flight just to do domestic can be anywhere from $500 to $1,200 just domestically. So now you've taken up part of that $5,000 budget, which doesn't really leave room for you to really have a true experience that I would have to offer.
Sure.
And there's just a standard that I have. I'm only doing 4.5 to 5 star private car service. And also because I've curated and vetted properties that have COVID safe regulations, I know when they're testing their staff, I know that they're going to provide your PCR antigen testing. I know what the insurances and things of that sort look like. So all of those encapsulated, unfortunately, that 5K number has really changed for us domestically to give you all those elements. And I wouldn't feel comfortable selling you something that didn't encompass that. So for me, you know, that's kind of where I'm at with my product and my brand.
Definitely. Sounds amazing.
Yeah.
So how can people get in touch with you to get started on this curated journey?
Well, they can first start by reaching out to me. I always answer my phone. I have people calling me 24/7, and my number is 813-917-4122. Or you can reach me at my website, globalluxurytravel.com. I'm on Instagram, I'm on TikTok, I'm on all the platforms, Snapchat, you name it, I'm on them all. Facebook, most of my clients do find me and follow me on Facebook. I also have a YouTube channel where I've provided information for to show you just some of the insights of all the destinations that I've actually visited, so you can really get an in-depth understanding of what also that looks like. And just really feel comfortable with what I offer. So all those platforms, I'm available.
That's amazing. I'm looking forward to working with you.
So where would you want to go? I want to turn the tables on you.
Where would I want to go? I want to go to Africa.
So would you be interested in gorilla trekking if you were in Africa?
Gorilla trekking?
Where you're following a gorilla in his natural habitat? Or chimpanzees?
Probably not. But if you ensure me that I'll be safe, I will.
Yeah, you actually are with porters that are there, and these are habitualized gorillas. So they've been habitualized, meaning that they've been around humans for a certain amount of time.
Okay.
Even though they're in their true elements,
Sure.
They have been habitualized, but that's just one of the things that I did, and you get certified. I did it with chimpanzees as well.
Wow.
And a lot of the porters actually can speak gorilla and chimpanzee, believe it or not.
Really? Wow.
They know a lot of their sounds and elements to know exactly kind of what's going on. So definitely be something cool. Or we could go have you stay somewhere really beautiful in the Serengeti and balloon over the Serengeti at sunrise.
Oh yes, oh yes, oh yes. Sounds amazing. Sounds good. Well, I'm definitely looking forward to it for sure. And then I'm going to refer my mom to your program as well.
Oh, I'd love that. I'd love to work with her.
That'd be amazing. You'll bring her ass back.
Oh, that's so good. I'm a widow myself, so
Okay.
I definitely would love to, you know, lift somebody's spirits in that way.
Cool.
So,
Sounds good.
yeah.
Well, follow all of her platforms, guys, because this is a whole nother level. A whole nother level. Thank you.